Welcome to the Anchor Your Retirement podcast. I am your jilted host, Barbara Gullen, hanging out with the jiltor, Tony
Oh
Shore,
no.
who skipped out on me last week.
Yep. Took off records. I took off last Friday, so I was unable to record at our normal time. That's for sure.
So, is Record Store Day like a state holiday in Minnesota? Asking
It's
for
a
a friend.
national record store day. Asking for a friend. Record store day is a national day for independent record stores, and the labels and artists create and press up limited edition stuff that's very limited, never been released before, a lot of it, or hasn't been available for a long time, or with bonus tracks or different colored vinyl, mostly vinyl records.
Okay.
And I mean, we're talking about they press up 2,000 copies
And that's it.
worldwide. That's for the
Mhm.
entire world. And they celebrate Record Store Day in England and Europe as well. The
Okay.
stores there in Germany and England and places like that where records are big. And so you have to wait in line. And if you're not first in line, your store might only have one or two of a title. And then
Mhm.
when it's gone, it's gone.
But you got a
So
good haul, right? It was worth it.
I got 14 records, and I thought of you often waiting in line. Right now, I should be recording with Barb. Uh, but Record Store Day is fun, and if any of our listeners or viewers are into vinyl, collecting records,
Mhm.
they know what I'm talking about. But I love music. I was just listening to some jazz before the show. It's nice while I'm working to put on some jazz on the turntable. It sounds so good.
Keeps you mellow, huh?
Yeah. Well, it's nice and relaxing. Yeah. It helps me when I work, a little work music, right?
Yes, unfortunately, we are not talking about a relaxing topic today, but one that
No.
needs some attention.
Yeah.
Federal employees, we see you, and we are so sorry that you are in such a chaotic space right now.
Yeah.
I have talked to many federal employees. I have talked to many federal employees that have been there. They are reaching their minimum retirement age and have the seniority, and they want to continue working, and they're worried about being RIFed, or reduction in force, for those that aren't speaking federal acronym. Um, it used to be that if you got a job with the federal government, it was a fairly stable position and something that you could make a career out of.
Yeah. And count
And there
on. Yep.
and there were a lot of really, really good people
Yeah.
that became federal employees, and it, of course, became an excellent source of employment for those who have donned the uniform and bravely served our country to be able
Yep.
to come back and find a job that could accommodate combat-related stresses and injuries that had happened.
Sure.
So, as a federal employee, as a group, I've never seen them this uncertain before,
Hmm.
and wanted to spend some time talking about what to do if you find out that your department is being eliminated. Um, there was an executive order that was signed not too long ago that is eliminating all of the collective bargaining agreements with the various federal unions. I do know that Congress is asking the executive branch to reconsider that, but there's a lot of instability going on right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so,
A lot
as
of
a
job insecurity instead of
right,
job security, right?
right, all lightheartedness aside, because you and I are sitting here, those of you watching the video know that we have on our baseball caps
Oh,
today
yes.
because it is the real. We are in the regular season for baseball, and both Tony and I are loyal to our teams, even if they are not in the standings where we would like to see them right now.
Not doing so hot. No.
No, but as a federal employee, the first thing I want you to do when you listen to this podcast is to go into your EOPF system. And I want you to make sure that you have downloaded everything in your employee file. Put it all on a thumb drive. Make sure you have all your SF50s. Make sure that you have any of the personnel reviews that have been done that are in there. Anything that's in that file, I want you to have your own personal copy of.
Yeah, that's important.
A lot of times when people are finding out that their positions have been eliminated, they are getting called in and they have to surrender everything on the spot. And you don't want to be caught in a position where you don't have that information that you might need.
Right.
Because even if you only have 5 years of service, even if you're young, right now you're still eligible for a pension when you reach age 62.
Yep.
And we want to make sure that you have access to all of the benefits to which you're entitled.
Right. That's huge. And so a lot of people are finding themselves, there one day, and then the next they are called immediately in and hey, we're eliminating your position.
Well,
And
and,
that's
and they're
tough.
eliminating entire departments.
Yeah,
So
whole
that they,
departments.
and when they're eliminating job codes and departments, they then bypass any of the seniority rules or any of the accommodations for Americans with disabilities. It is not it is not a very surgical approach to
No.
it.
No.
It's a very broad stroke that is being swiped across the board.
Sure.
The next thing I want you to do is to make sure that you do not, if you are under age 55 or age 50, if you're in law enforcement or an air traffic controller or a firefighter, if you've got the 1.7 job designation that allows you to retire at 50 instead of an older age. I want you to make sure that if you are younger and your position is eliminated, that you do not take all that money out of your thrift savings plan and roll it into an outside IRA. And some of you are sitting there and you're shocked to hear me say that, aren't
Yeah,
you?
I'm actually surprised to hear you say that. Why would you say that?
Because if you are 50, if you're a Leo or have that classification, or 55, and in any other position, you can pull money out of your thrift savings plan without that 10% early withdrawal penalty
Hmm.
that you will be assessed if you roll it out into an outside IRA and then find that you need money.
Ah, okay.
Okay.
Sure. Yep.
So while it might make sense to put some of it into an IRA, we don't want all of it going into an IRA.
Okay.
Okay.
That makes sense. In case you need some of that money.
In
You don't
case
wanna
you
pay
need
the
some of that
penalty.
money.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Um, it's a scary time and it's an emotional time. I don't want you to make an impulsive decision or to talk to a financial advisor or a broker who doesn't understand how your benefits work and end up creating more of a problem than creating a solution.
Right, because I'm here to tell you, and I can attest to the fact that, the
Mhm.
majority of people who call themselves financial advisors or, financial professionals out there, if you talk to them as a federal employee and said, "Well, my job's being eliminated. What should I do with my TSP?" They will tell you,
Roll it all over.
roll it all over 100% into an IRA.
Mhm.
And of course, but if you're young, if you're not 59 and a half, there are huge penalties if you need that money before you turn that age. So if you're 50 or 55 and you're going to need some of that money to live on, you're not going to have access to it without sacrificing so much of it.
That's true.
Right.
Now, you can still use a 72T distribution, which is an IRS code
Hmm.
that allows you to take substantially equal payments over your lifetime. You'll have to take that until you are age 59 and a half or for 5 years, whichever is the longest. So, even if you're 3 years in and turn 59 and a half on a 72T, you still need to take that for another 2 years.
Yeah. There you
Okay.
go.
So
Yeah.
you could be locking yourself into a payment that if you get another job, you might not need.
Hmm. Good point as well. So you need to sit down with somebody who has experience with this and can look at your personal situation and say, hey, if you do this, this will happen. If you do this, what are your goals? What are your needs
Mhm.
right now? And make decisions based on that and make an overall plan Don't just do something because, oh, conventional wisdom says if you do roll it over an IRA, it's going to be best for your future. Well, for a lot of these people, like you're saying, Barb, the
Mhm.
future is now, right?
It
The
is.
future is now. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
So, even though this is a very chaotic and potentially disruptive time in your
Yeah.
life, I want you to be sure that if you're seeking help, you are seeking help from a qualified fiduciary that understands how your federal benefits work. And there are several out there that are very good people, very good advisory groups that will help you do the right thing.
Yep.
Okay. I have read some of the fork in the road documents, and if you are signing one of those, you waive a lot of your rights that exist as a federal employee and a union member. So if things don't work out the way that you think they are going to, and you consult an attorney, be sure that you bring that fork in the road agreement to them if you signed it.
Yeah.
Hopefully, you got a copy of it when you were on your way out the door.
Yeah. Yeah, again, to start the show, you gave that warning. Make sure you have copies of everything regarding
Yes,
your
yes.
employment agreements, all
Mhm,
those types of papers, the forms you're going to need,
mhm.
anything regarding employment benefits. Make sure you have, and that goes for federal employees or private, but especially federal when it comes to dealing with the government in these forms, because it gets very convoluted, and right now
Mhm.
it is sad. It's a serious topic because
It
it's a mess. We both know, you and I, Barb,
Mhm.
some really great government employees,
We do, and I'm
and
proud
my
to call them clients, I am proud
yeah,
to call them friends,
yeah,
but, OPM is overwhelmed right now with everything that's going on. So, take as much into your own hands and in your own control as you can right now.
yeah, and find somebody who's a professional when it comes to not only a fiduciary and financially, but as far as federal benefits are concerned. I
Yes.
know we had a close family member and a good friend of mine lost his job. I don't know, within the last month from the
Mhm.
government.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's not like what he was doing wasn't important or was a waste. That's what's so sad about it. It's like we're all for cutting government waste, and we all know there's a lot of government waste, but it should have been done surgically, with a
Mhm.
scalpel, not with a chainsaw, lopping off whole departments.
We'll talk to federal employees that will admit that there are places where they need to trim the
Yeah,
fat. There are also other parts of the government where we need to add qualified help.
yeah.
Our veterans deserve to get the
Oh,
care that they
yeah.
need.
Yeah, I can't even believe they would even hint at doing anything that would cut the VA or
They really
downsize the
they
VA.
they aren't cutting or downsizing the VA. That department, the patient-facing people, the patient-facing job roles have not been touched overall
Right.
by a lot of this,
Yep.
but there is a hiring freeze. So
Right.
if somebody decides that they want to make a shift to the private sector for their own peace of mind, they are not able to replace those existing positions in a lot of
Right.
circumstances right now.
Right. Or
So
if
I
more
just
help
wanna
is
make
needed,
sure.
if more
Right.
help is needed in an area that's a need, they can't fill it.
Yeah, I just wanna
Yeah.
clarify that.
Yeah. Yeah, they haven't cut it, but they've talked about possible
Mhm.
cuts. They
They
floated
have.
it.
They have. It's not gonna go over very well, and
No.
I hope that, cooler heads start to prevail soon.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I hope we're seeing a pullback from that kind of hatchet job approach, and taking a more measured approach on cutting back government spending, because everyone agrees there's not a person in the country who doesn't believe in cutting government spending. We all do.
Right,
I think
right.
99.9% of everyone in the United States knows that we need to cut back on government spending.
And we have to do it strategically,
Yeah.
and we have to do it soon.
Yes. Yep. The
Just the way
national
it
debt, they
is.
can't keep kicking the can down the road, and I get that. So I get the underlying motivation possibly, but wow, I mean, necessary departments and jobs. I don't understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Neither do I. Neither do I. And, there are a lot of good people. And I think that sometimes when somebody goes in and makes those blanket cuts and they don't take the time to understand the full impact of those positions,
Right.
then we do more harm than good.
Yep. I would agree. Yeah. I would agree, but it's important either way. What's happening is happening, and people who work for these federal employees need to deal with it. And so, especially in this area, I know you've helped so many already. And if any of our listeners who aren't federal employees want to get a financial plan in place,
Mhm.
or know what to do with their 401ks or 403bs or 457s and TSPs for federal employees, they should pick up the phone and give you a call, Barb. And I know you and your team there at BG Wealth Advisory would love to meet with them. You love to hear from people and help people. You've helped
We
so many
do.
people in the community, and get that financial plan in place. One for you. Don't just do what your brother did, or your
Mhm.
family member, or a buddy at work. You have your own unique set of financial needs and goals, and retirement needs and goals. So,
Yep. And they can do that by reaching out to us at area code 913-553-6222, or go to our website, bgwealthmanagement.com.
all right. Well, Barb, an important topic. I'm sure you're going to get calls. Again, that's bgwealthmanagement.com, or 913-553-6222.
Mhm. All right. It's a good show today. Good to see you. I've missed you the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I know. It's been a couple of weeks. I'm glad we're back on track here. Thanks, Barb. And thanks, listeners and viewers. That does it for today's episode of Anchor Your Retirement with our host, Barb Gullet.
We'll see you soon.